Thank you. This actually had some technical issues, I will say, but I appreciate it.
Well, have to do it. I'm a beautiful person. Like that. It's infused with humanity and the media of the places and what you chose.
Wow.
You're a lovely film. Sure. Wonderful, and you focus. There's great value in what women are doing today in the world. It's a big story as well. I guess if I have a question, I've been curious about. There's a lot of starvation in the world, and I've been on the internet this last week and found out that 21,000 children died of starvation today. And I wonder, your film is so beautifully done. Are you in touch with world hunger groups? And I know there are many groups struggling to deal with delivery and
well, you know, I'm just now starting to get this film distributed. It's my first film. It was a student film. I was a graduate student when I did this on a Fulbright grant. So my background is ecology and environmental science. So I really dived in and learned the practice just on my own for the most part. So I am trying to get this film out into the world now, and I have some different ideas. Like, there's very distinct chapters in this film, so I might make a website where you have thematic chapters that can be used in academic settings, for instance, and different ways to access the content. Yeah, so the answer is, yeah, I'm looking into that heavily right now. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Encouragement. Yeah. In the back?
Yes, can you tell me a little bit about your film, how you chose that area, just how long you were there?
Yeah.
I'm curious about time.
The experience, yeah. I was there for 6 months, so I was there for a significant enough amount of time that it was very challenging. It was a very rural area. I had to learn the local language, which is Kannada, and enough for them to at least laugh at me, you know. But working with a visual medium like film versus just doing a study or something as a scientist really helped me bond with the group of women, because I would show them the images that they would be laughing and pointing, and we would all, they loved this project. They're showing it in India all over now at different festivals, and they've gotten financial support, and so it feels really good that they're able to use it back there. So I was there for 6 months, like I said, on the Fulbright grant, and stayed with Sunita, the director. She was really key. I stayed on her farm and visited. I had to cut a lot of the interviews. I interviewed like 25 different women, went to their homes. They would feed me every time. I would go to their homes with these amazing snacks and tea, and I would be like rolling out by the time the day was over with all the interviews and things. But what really struck me was their grace, even under the conditions that were challenging. They're not encouraged to share their talents with the world. They're at home cooking most of the day, but they're just, incredible strength still. And that cooperative really brought that. That was what was interesting, is how much support emotionally they got by just having a reason to get together outside of their isolated homes where they have a certain very rigid role. So yeah, in front.
Yeah. India is Hindu originally, not only male-dominated country, and I think there's Jay Cordera rather around this picture up. And you're kind of hear that maybe an aggression where you might be a little questioned.
Oh, Jay Cordera, start the revolution.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, they are.
I hear that maybe very hot, and I think that's the society operating like
Yeah, well, I feel like I was kind of a side note to what they're actually doing. They're stirring the pot a lot, and when they go home at the end of the day, they face the questions of like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Where have you been? Men want to use the money to buy alcohol. Like, I've heard all sorts of stories, what they face when they go home at the end of the day from their work and cooperative. So they get strength because it's a collective, and they know that they have this group that they can kind of rely on, and they, like I said, they'll do everything really fast so they can go on the tours or go to the markets or whatever it is. So, because it's so empowering.
Well, then, back to the seat collecting, they must be, these local collectors must be getting on the radar of
On the radar?
on their radar about, any potential threat, what were you on?
Well, this is 150 women. It's probably, Monsanto is so large, but it is spreading. Yeah, the revolution is spreading. That's right. But yeah, I'm not sure that there's any pressure directly from Monsanto yet.
The back and then, are there things that we could do being outside of India to recommend seatbelt?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that just doing research about the seed bill and what's happening would be the first starting place, and just keep your eye on it. And also, these issues are so relevant here too. So what they wanted really was that this film would inspire similar initiatives in other contexts, to spring up out of the inspiration of what they've accomplished. And so I would say, in this valley, agriculture is huge, and just kind of seeing what's going on locally too, great. And of course, they have a web page, and they are doing different events and things, and you could of course financially support, or Sunita actually takes interns. People can go and work with them over there if you want to go over to India for a while. You can do that. It's intense, I'll warn you, but it's amazing. So, yeah.
So Gandhi remained at Hindu, but he had a lot to say about his own casting system. And I was wondering what the percentages of different religions, if they were welcome to see all these religions.
In the cooperative?
And, whether they Christian or Sikh.
Other types of religions. It was mostly Hindu, I think, but definitely a diversity of caste members. And it was interesting because while they were starting to welcome in other caste members, I did see some, at lunchtime, different castes still sitting together. There's a lot of social stigma around that. It's hard to understand here because we don't have anything quite like that. And so they were really, Sunita was really trying to push to really bring all different types of women together, and that was really a beautiful aspect of this, for sure. Because the city women, they lived out, I had to hike out into the jungles. They lived no roads, leeches, everything. I had to hike over bridges. They were out in the middle of nowhere, and they actually are of African and Indian descent combined, and so they've been very shunned out in the rural areas. So they were that group that started out the film singing. It was a big deal for them when they got invited in and on study tours and, these things. So.
And also, when I was out of the Chiefs, it was biodiversity. I personally had probably only 50 over a month period. So, did you get to learn about it?
Yeah, I did while I was there, but right now, if you ask me to name a bunch off, it would take me. It's I'd look back at my notes. But yeah, I learned a lot about the different gourds and cucumbers and all the sorts of different vegetables and medicinal herbs. That was another thing that they did a lot of too. Yes.
It's to see, mangoes. Because mangoes, this is ready. So it was cool. I saw her working that area down.
All right.
And I went to the market when May after just 4 months. And so 4 varieties.
Yeah.
Oh, you were really close. You were seriously everything. Oh my God, amazing. Very small rural area, so in the back.
I would ask you, India is very large. How many such a groups are there being produced organic? How many groups are there that could produce organic?
Organic?
Yes. Only is this group although India is so large.
It's really, women's groups are really starting to take off. Oh yeah, so I think the question was how India is very large. how many groups are coming up that are working towards producing organic produce. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I do, from my research, know that there's a lot of unrest. Some of you have probably heard about the suicide rates in India due to the influx of BT cotton. So BT cotton came in and promised huge yields, and oh my goodness, and so this big buyout of the BT happened, and long story short is that it depleted the soils, it became weakened crop, super pests, super weeds started coming in and taking over these crops, so people started drinking the pesticides and killing themselves out of the incredible amount of debt that they were going into. So it's really heavy. So, and the whole nation was, really gripped by that in 2005, 2008. So a movement started, my point is, and a lot of women's groups in particular have started around environmental issues. It seems to draw in women's interest, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know exact numbers. Vanastree is a really famous lady who has a huge farm and doing similar stuff and things like that. So it's happening, which is good.
It's really huge to see the issues of time management and some of those things that we deal with here, the same way as women, which is so reasonable time. How were they answering about their kids, or talking about it, and they have groups, they have community stakeholders.
Yeah, they also have learning for life camps is what they call it. So they bring in kids, city kids often actually. They try to reach out to kids that aren't naturally exposed to it, because out in the rural areas they're more naturally exposed to this information. And their own kids as well. But they have these learning for life camps where they do kind of alternative education and try to pass on that. That's a big part of their mission as well. So that was good. But of course, it's very difficult against the onslaught of modern internet and technology, and kids out in the agricultural regions, they're like, I want out of here, I want to, there's that kind of out-migration movement of the young people towards promises of whatever modernization has to offer, and unfortunately, a lot of the knowledge is being lost. Yeah.
Here's an opportunity for us to learn something from them. I don't see where they were putting the needle on the early gas stove. That stove gas is produced from the wood from their own livestock, which they're from cows. So this way it has some cows.
Yeah, I have a few cows around here.
The whole household and so easily. This is something that you need to figure out, and they obviate a fair amount of their stuff to do about it.
Right. Yeah, their systems of fertilization and stuff were really good. These big pools where they mix. Cow dung is sacred there. The whole floor is covered with this mixture of cow dung. It's like a sacred thing. And they had all sorts of interesting concoctions they were making with curd, yogurt, and cow dung and things for fertilizing. So, yeah. Anything else? All right. Thank you all so much. Yeah, so please